What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the PHDJ Podcast. It's Joe Bunn and my friend Mike Walter.
What's going on, Joe? How are you?
I am fresh off the midnight flight in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You just came back from Midwest late last night, right?
I did. I got in about 12:30.
Yeah.
It was...
You had been to the show before or not?
I did. Remember, I was there 2 years ago, but it was at the Radisson Airport. So I have not been to the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel, which is where you were last year.
I was last year, and I liked it a lot.
I did
It was
too.
really good.
So the hotel, it was back there this year. Spoiler alert, it is not there next year. It is going to be still in Milwaukee, but somewhere by the River Walk or Riverfront, they call it.
Right.
I believe it's a Hyatt property. So anyway, quick recap for those of you that weren't there. Did see a ton of people, Mike, ton of listeners, ton of DJ's Vault members. We were all super well taken care of. But, man, really just in terms of a, 2-day conference, really, really well done. Again, I mean, that they should really tip their hats to themselves. Their board is probably, and it's a volunteer board, which is kind of mind-blowing. Maybe, I think I saw a couple of pictures, 10, 12 people. Does that sound about right? They
invited me to their wrap-up dinner last year for the board, which I was really honored by. And, I think it was about 10 or 12. And to put that kind of show on, especially, like you say, volunteer, these are all people who are running their own businesses and taking care of their own families. This isn't an income generator, I don't believe.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, it probably takes that level of participation from people. But it's great to see. It's great to see people chipping in and putting something like this together. And I agree from last year. I mean, I thought it was a great show last year. And I said as much on this podcast. And I know you're praising it. And I was getting a ton of texts the last couple of days from people saying, we miss you this year. This was fantastic. And getting great reports. Frank Benway, did you see his post?
No, but he was with me a lot.
So but he also thanked us for recommend. Apparently, I think he went based on our recommendation,
I did see that.
which was good to see. It's good to see that the power of this podcast can sell at least one. I don't know, maybe there were others, but we sold at least one pass to Midwest DJs Live, which is nice.
We did. We sold more than that for sure, man. And there was a lot of listeners, a lot of people missing. Mike Walter, a lot of people saying keep it going. That those people were. There's a lot of paranoia. Which is good
because weeks like this where we're literally texting, what the F are we going to talk about? We need that encouragement.
I texted Mike right when I was boarded in Milwaukee, and I had this entire grand scheme idea today, and then I realized that we had already done it.
Which I don't know that we should shy away from, Joe, because especially if we've talked about it year or two ago.
I don't. I think it was more recent, man. I do. I remember this pretty well.
Okay.
I've got some good topics because. So let me just give a brief recap. Sunday night was the spinoff. A lot of DJs played. Just a good time hanging out at the hotel. I think the highlight for me was that the kid Dawson High. I mean, he's only 13, phenomenal DJ.
13 years old, and he was
crushing it.
That's amazing.
Everybody loved him. Spinelli played, Nate Nelson, Henry Reyes from down in South Carolina. I mean, tons of DJs played.
So what they do, like 20 minutes?
20 minutes. Yeah, 15, 20 minutes. People were just hanging out.
I participated in that last year because
you did?
I had realized that, I've done so much for this industry as far as emceeing and running the DJ of the Year competition and seminars, but I've never gotten up in front, or as of last year, I hadn't.
Yeah.
So, I did a 20-minute set, and then if you remember at DJ Times a couple months later,
the Prince thing. Yeah.
I spun the Prince set. So now I've broken my cherry as far as mixing for my DJ peers. I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah.
Don't know that there's any other level of participation I need to show off.
That's the most intimidating gig ever. Somebody was like, "Why don't you get up there?" I was like, "Yeah, I did that once at Arm DJs, and that was one. That was it. That was
I would do it again. I've had fun with it. I mean, I'd want to, to me, the big thing is what gear are you using? I feel comfortable with my equipment. Last year, at both opportunities I had, they were using the controller I usually use.
SX,
so I could use my laptop, pop it on, Serato. I would not feel comfortable.
Nope.
There's a level of nervousness anyway, mixing to your peers.
Yep.
And then throw yourself on gear that you're not used to. I don't think I'd feel comfortable with
Nate
that.
Nelson hit some button and it went, and he was just like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
He's like, "It's in the worst place, that button." Anyway, but and then Monday just started out. They had two pro speakers, one at the very front, one at the end. Kara Lane is her name. She spoke about generations, which I think a lot of us have heard about. The millennials, Gen Z, blah blah blah. You talk about it a lot.
It's my topic at the Wedding MBA later this year.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
You're speaking at everything this year.
Not
Yeah, I mean, you're in Europe, and then you go into ARM. I saw. And Big Daddy's trying
to. And then Atlantic City.
AC,
doesn't
baby.
Doesn't even get any more highbrow than that.
Hey, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and then AC, baby.
Exactly.
I feel like I got to come to AC this year, too, by the way.
Dude, make the trip.
And then I was next. So it was keynote, and she did an hour, and then I did 30 minutes on Expand Your Brand, which was about, the things that you and I talked about on the podcast.
Is that
recently.
brand new? Is that something
brand new slides, everything. Only 30 minutes, so I didn't have to fill it with, there was no videos, which is pretty rare for me, but there were tons of stories. I told a lot of stories this time. Anyway, I'll get the recording for that. And then it just went on, man. I mean, honestly, it's just it almost runs together. I mean, Nate Nelson spoke, Glenn Roush, Rob Foray. I mean, it was just the who's who of kind of people that you and I know and run with and see at these DJ conventions, and it was just really well done, man. And in between, they would have at the end of the day they would have round tables. And then each table had a topic, and you would just kind of go to the table you wanted to learn about. And then also, after about 2 or 3 people spoke, they would do these one-to-ones where we would come back up on stage, and people had written on note cards that were on their table throughout the day questions they wanted to ask us. So that was really well received as well. And then Monday night, Spinelli did the anatomy of mixing late, about 7:30 or so. And then there was kind of a mini wedding reception, actually.
So tell me, Sean, Big Daddy was telling me about Spinelli's anatomy of mixing. So he was mixing live,
he had
also explaining it?
Yeah, he had a Countryman microphone on, and he was, but not mixing live. He would do like, let me show you how to use this echo effect right here, or let me show you how to just blend 2 songs. Or let me show you, why it's important to mix in this key. And then they had a bar over the top of his turntables with a GoPro on it, so that the crowd could see his hands. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then his hands were free because he had the Countryman mic on. So
I think that's a great concept. I think Nick is probably a great guy to do it.
He's super enigmatic,
If Janai ever did and this is no knock on Spinelli, but if Janai ever did a seminar like that, people would, it would be a riot. People would want to see it.
It was really good, man. He did a really good job, and he's funny, and
he is.
He filled up.
He's an emerging rock star in our industry.
100%.
Between his the videos that he puts out and now speaking at seminars, he's going to be one of those guys to keep an eye on.
He would have filled up the swear jar, though. There was a swear jar on stage. I dropped a few a-holes, but that was it.
I don't know. I'm starting to rethink the whole thing. I want to talk to you about this. I'm actually going to give you an assignment for next week. But, I saw a public speaker recently, a female, and she didn't like curse the whole time, but she said the S word a couple times and the F word even, I think, once or twice. And I don't know. I just think the shock value is gone with that, and I think there's going to come a day where you'll hear those words even on primetime television. Yeah, I think there'll come a day.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, all in all, awesome conference. Highly suggest that if you want to go, or especially if you're anywhere driving distance, please come next year.
Have they announced the dates for next year?
Yes, I believe it was the
same thing, beginning of May or late April.
Late April. I think it was 26th through the 28th, and again, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So
that's cool.
MidwestDJsLive.com. Check it out.
And while we're talking about conferences, as Joe alluded to, next up really on the calendar, I don't think we're missing anything, right, between now and ARMS?
No, that's, June is the next
so that's
thing.
really, I mean, it's certainly next up on my personal calendar. I will be traveling. I know we're driving on Father's Day, June 16th, so we get down there on that Sunday. I know that 17th is a fun day, that Monday, because I don't really have any, I don't think organized stuff, or maybe sometime in the afternoon, but a couple years ago we went hiking, and I know some guys go golfing and do some other things, and then Tuesday and Wednesday is again very similar to Midwest. Great seminars, great content. It's a smaller, so there's a lot of great networking and opportunity to hang out. You and I were down there 2 years ago, and if you remember, we did a seminar.
Oh,
remember, I mean a podcast.
We did do a podcast,
kind of a live podcast
up on the roof. So it's moved this year to Gatlinburg, which I think is where Dollywood is, but don't hold me to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's moved from Greenville, Tennessee to Gatlinburg. So that would be the next. And then July is KC's show.
Right, Marquee.
Are you
going to that?
I'm not, because I wanted to, but it's like July 7th, and I always take that week off for the 4th. I always take the 4th of July off. My sister's coming from Montana. Like, they would kill me if I went to Chicago. So look that one up as well, guys. Marquee, he seems to be really, I mean, he and I had breakfast yesterday with Drax from ADJA. He seems to be really excited about his numbers for that. He's got some great people going to be there. Then it goes, I mean, literally it goes every month from now on, Mike. It goes June, ARMS, July, Marquee, August,
Atlantic City,
AC, and then
DJ Expo.
Skips. I don't
know this is anything in September.
Nothing September, and then Wedding MBA, as you alluded to, in October, from what I remember.
And you're not making that trip?
No.
I'm looking forward to that trip.
No.
I missed it last year. I had gone a couple years in a row. I missed it last year.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great time to be in Las Vegas. It's a great show because it's not focused specifically on DJs. Correct. So there's a lot of other different stuff. And it's a fun show to attend. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm doing a seminar. I'm actually doing, let's call it 1.5 seminars, because I'm doing one for the general for everybody on millennials. And then Rob Ferre has asked me to kind of tag team with him. I'm going to see him later today, so he and I should talk about that and start moving forward on that. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm killing it, man. Killing it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I did want to just pop in a couple of topics. And these were kind of things, Mike, that I got asked in the hallway, if you will. We'll call this like a hallway questions 101.
All right.
And just maybe kind of rip through a few of these real quickly since we've done the recap now. The first one I wanted to just basically touch on, and we don't have to get into the finer details of it, but I get asked this a lot, especially in the members only group, the Vault thing. Can you just basically tell us who you use for DJ insurance and maybe just what it basically covers? Are you the guy that knows that within your organization?
I am, but it's not something that's really pressing. I mean, we use the ADJA coverage. So
RV Nuccio?
Sure. Yeah. I see that email come in all the time. And I mean, I think it just covers liability. I don't think it covers gear loss. I'm pretty sure. Keeping in mind that most of my DJs own their own gear, so I've kind of empowered them. If they want to insure it. If not, then you roll the dice.
So what Mike is referring to is, and I think we get it's basically an umbrella policy under, I think, the ADJA. So when you sign up at RV, like RV, Nuccio, which is NUCCIO.com, it will ask you a series of questions. How many DJs do you have? What do you want the deductible to be? So it looks like I'm covered up to $1 million, and I do have $20,000 worth of gear insurance on here. $2,500 deductible. I think it asks how many systems you send out, not necessarily in terms of, and I said 12. That's about what we would have out, on a busy night. And it comes out, mine came out to around $775 a year. So anyway, if
I remember I switched over a few years ago and I wound up saving like tons of money. I mean, like a third of what I forget who I was using. It
maybe a
wasn't
local
the
person,
ADJA, and they actually dropped me. And not because I had any claims or anything else. They just said we're no longer offering this kind of coverage.
Sure.
And I called Drax and I was like, help. And he said, Mike, I've been telling you for years to switch over. Yeah. And I made the phone call, and it literally saved me like 2/3.
So even if you had to, as Mike just said, parlay it into adding in an ADJ membership, you're still going to save money. So
yeah, I mean, I was already an ADJA member, so it didn't matter. But yes, if I did the math in my head, if I added an ADJA membership just to have the insurance, it still would have saved me a boatload of money. Yeah, like a couple of thousand.
Wow, that is a lot.
So yeah, it was.
It looks like they have a direct link, DJ Insurance in Minutes.
Now listen, have you ever had a claim to file?
I have. No. Okay. No. Stop. Okay. I have not with them. The story about the swamp, when I lost all that gear in the swamp, that was not with them. I did get paid out, and I think it was $4,000 or $5,000, and then it was followed immediately by a termination letter from another company.
I love that.
Yeah, it was over quickly, but it was not this company.
Got paid out.
I did get paid out.
Yeah, and then they realized, so stuff does happen to gear. Yeah. Drop that guy.
Right.
Yeah. I've never. Knock wood, because I'm jinxing myself now, but I've never had to have a claim. That's why I was shocked the other insurance company dropped me. I'm like, I've basically given you $40,000 over the last decade and more, and I've never even asked for anything, and yet you're dropping me, but whatever. So I don't know. I mean, that's the one thing I can't vouch for.
Yeah.
I know some people have had good experiences with the insurance company. Some people, I've heard some other stories of not. So buyer beware, but I mean, I can vouch for the fact that it's way less expensive.
Right.
And their customer service is great. Every time we need to add something to the policy, it's instantaneous.
During normal business hours, and I believe they're on the East Coast. Nope. Looks like they're on the West Coast.
No, they're
on California. So during normal business hours, you can get a human on the phone very quickly. I will say another really nice thing about it is you can actually just log in. Like, don't you get asked all the time, Mike, for a certificate of insurance?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Lynn does that for me, our office manager. And that's why I see the email, because the email comes to me, and I just have to forward it back to Lynn, because it means she's made some change. Or usually it's somebody that wants to be added as additional insured. Additional insured, that's the word. Yeah. Which, again, is included. My old insurance company, I was paying more, and I think that was $100 per incident.
Oh, wow.
So now it's
so if you ever get those corporate clients or even brides, sometimes the venue will say, we need to be on the additional insured policy.
It's
you
not
can
just
literally
proof that you have insurance; it's they want to be added.
That's right, and you can add it quickly, like right on.
All right, so that was a hallway question. What were other hallway questions?
Do I manage my own social media? So for me, I have kind of turned my personal account. Yeah, my personal account.
Oh, I thought your whole thing was beginning of the month. You schedule everything out.
I did, and I did that for.
I kept up with you.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you switched.
Yeah, about a month or so ago, I turned over the Bunn DJ company account to a college, I guess, intern, but a paid intern that works here.
Okay.
I still am in charge of rounding up pictures from local photographers and then curating them to take out the rings and the cakes and things that aren't very energetic. And then she kind of goes through and posts and adds the cute emojis and captions and things like that. About every other day, it looks like, is what she's
So, like, for example, I'm just looking on your, you have a shot from a week ago of a bride and groom kind of dancing and the comment, drop it low with Bunn DJ Co. Yeah. So that was her work?
Yeah.
Okay. Cute.
And I mean, she, again, it's. I think it's nice to have a female perspective sometimes, a younger perspective sometimes.
Right.
I think the account should be, in my case, because we do mostly weddings, skewed towards brides or a younger demographic. Right. And she's done pretty well, to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, I still like to have hands on. There was something that got posted by accident to it yesterday. It wasn't nothing offensive. It was just kind of a lame shot, so I took that down. But, lately it's been the pictures of the DJs that have done better than anything. And I think that speaks to the kind of people that are following us, which is probably a lot of DJs and a lot of vendors versus I wish it was a lot of brides, but it's okay. So anyway, what about you guys? I know there's, I still do the bulk of it. Chris A helps me from time to time. Lynn does the Pinterest, and I still have no idea what Pinterest is doing, and I think we've gotten this much work from Pinterest. But we're still trying. We're still putting up images, and whenever I blog, we share it on Pinterest and everything else. But yeah, I'm still handling the bulk of the blogging, and I love going through photos from our photographers and pulling out. I kind of like it too.
You've probably seen. I like that. I've been doing the 10 picture recap from our photography studio, which I enjoy doing, and I think it's a great way. I could put more on Facebook, but Instagram has that 10 picture if you want to do a slideshow. So I kind of like keeping it to just 10. I find whenever I go through a wedding, I'll just pick out, in my opinion, the best 10 pictures as far as the reception goes, not the beautiful shots and, like you say, the rings and the cake, but party shots,
this is cool.
maybe one or two of my DJs doing their introductions and stuff like that. And then I just put those same 10 pictures on Facebook and also Instagram. And always with things like that, this is probably a 101 reminder, but if the bride and groom have a hashtag, use that hashtag, because then they'll see it, even if it's months and months after their wedding. I think brides still will filter on their hashtag from time to time. We've gotten plenty of past brides that have shared those posts and said, once again, you guys were awesome and things like that. So I think it's a great way to stay top of mind with your past brides as well.
Yeah, I love this one. I can still get down. It's getting up. That's a bit.
Dude, I'm actually going to talk about that in my next seminar about creating memes. That's one of the most successful memes. I've gotten over 400 likes between Instagram and Facebook. And now, like you just said, it's probably mostly DJs. It's not necessarily brides that are commenting on that or liking it. But, I think that's one of the more successful. People could relate to it, especially, guys my age, your age, whatever. And I just happened to I found that picture from a wedding that I went through, and I saw the shot of me getting down on the ground, and I just came up with that line, and I thought it kind of made sense.
I knew it was going to do well. It's really good.
And then I used what's the app, Word Swag, which you and I both talk about. So I made that on my phone in Word Swag in 5 minutes, and then shared it on both places. So
it's a good one. And
then
the last one I wanted to touch with Mike was I sat down at a round table, and I think the header was, or the little table marker said customer experience. And we kind of talked, about customer service and how important it was. In fact, I was telling them the story of, and you and I have talked about it before, how many times that we've showed up to an event, been, in our polo, still setting up and get absurd amounts of tips. You've never even played a record yet. I just got the biggest tip I've ever gotten on this past Saturday, and I was still getting ready for the ceremony. So it was a customer service thing. It was a customer experience thing. But somebody mentioned and you and I have talked about before, the beforehand customer experience, about the trickle of emails people get, and we give away this little bride emergency kit when people meet with us and things. But talk about briefly, Mike, what you do after the wedding, other than, do you do anything? I guess somebody said, do you guys do anything other than, the follow-up survey email, or like us, we send out a mailed letter, if you will. Anything else afterwards, Mike? The anniversary stuff?
Well, first of all, we don't do the follow-up survey.
We
don't
do it from the DJ?
No. We do it from the DJ, and it's more of a request to go to the wedding wire. What I found is the people that do the survey, and then from the surveys that are really good, they ask people to go to wedding wire. I think you're losing out there, because a lot of people, if they fill out a survey and then a week later you ask them to go to wedding wire, it's like double dipping. And now they're like, come on, leave me alone. So my point about that is eliminate the survey, only ask them to go to wedding wire. But obviously you only do that when you're sure that they were thrilled with everything. So, be sure. One of the things that I do, and I wish all of my staff did this, some of my staff does it, is I very often record a set at a wedding. Now, I was for a while doing what your boy Randy does, recording the whole night and Dropboxing that, but I stopped doing that. But so I most of my weddings, and if you follow me on SoundCloud, you see, like, I had 2 weddings this weekend. I added 2 sets this weekend. And then I'll email that to the client, usually when they get back from their honeymoon. And I'll just say, hey, by the way, I took the liberty of recording part of your wedding. I thought you guys might enjoy this. And I just send them the link to my SoundCloud page. And I get tons of great feedback from that. Brides love that, especially brides who were very involved in the music.
Yeah.
And if I recorded a set of like a lot of their requests, then they're going to be like, oh my God, this is my music and thank you so much. And they're going to share it. And I notice, I get SoundCloud followers whenever I do that. And I've also seen that brides will share that, on their Facebook pages or wherever and be like, oh, my DJ recorded the set, so enjoy it. So, that's one of those. I've encouraged you to do it, record a set, upload it to Mixcloud or SoundCloud. But there's ancillary reasons for that. It's not just bragging to the DJ industry about what you can do as a DJ. I think there are good customer service and post-wedding contact that you can make with that. And that's a thing that I typically do with a bride.
So when are you hitting record, Mike? Or are you doing any edits, or are you just...
No, with Serato, I just hit record at some point during the night. And listen, I'll be honest with you and our listeners, there are plenty of times where I hit record and 2 songs into the set, I hit unrecord because I didn't like my first mix or, I went in a different direction and I didn't think this was going to be. So, it's not like every time
do you hit
record.
it again?
Yeah, I might record. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Sunday night was a perfect example. I recorded the before dinner set, and I just didn't like it. So like 4 songs in, I hit unrecord, and then after dinner, I hit record, and I like that set. I think I took like 40 minutes. There was a lot of me emceeing during it, which I know some people don't love, some people do love. The way I record it, my microphone comes through. You can set it, I think, where you're not recording your mic.
Right.
But I think what doesn't make sense about that is if you're doing, like, let's say you're doing a sing along and you drop the music.
Oh yeah.
If I don't hear your microphone, why? You know what I mean? Right. So I don't mind having my mic recorded, but it's funny. Ed Petty, Glenn Roush, who works with Glenn Roush, he sent me a text. I hadn't even promoted that one yet. I uploaded it to SoundCloud, but I hadn't even pushed it out yet. And Ed Petty texted me yesterday and said, hey man, I'm really enjoying your set from Carly and Jake's wedding Sunday night. It's really great. I think he said he was dancing around his office or whatever. So that was a cool compliment.
Yeah, from another
DJ. It actually reminded me, I haven't promoted that one. But that's one when this bride and groom come back from their honeymoon in 2 weeks, I will send them that set. And it's a lot of their requests. So I imagine that they're really going to love it.
Are you saying, Mike, SoundCloud or Mixcloud?
I still upload to SoundCloud. Okay. That's where I started.
I thought they were pulling stuff, but maybe not.
Knock wood again. I'm lucky. I think a big part of it is I don't put the set list up. I think the people who have gotten eliminated from SoundCloud, it's because they list the set list.
Right.
I could be wrong about that, but again, knock wood, so far I haven't. I was for a while also uploading to Mixcloud, but I just stopped that. But I do save all my old sets. So if I ever got dropped from SoundCloud, I can move a lot of those over to Mixcloud.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, those were it, man. And we're about at the end of the 30 minutes. I'm sure there was plenty more conversations I had. Talked to a lot of DJs, man. And
that's
again,
cool.
Always humbling to be at these things. Always when people, come up and say they love the podcast or the vault.
It is
or whatever.
Great.
It's very cool. So,
so speaking of that, 2 quick things.
Yeah.
This is our 120th episode.
Nice.
So I figured this out the other day. If somebody just stumbled on this podcast now and wanted to binge listen nonstop, it would take them 2.5 days.
Dang.
We've done 60 hours of podcasts.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
So you would need a ton of Red Bull and those big monster drinks and maybe even a couple lines of cocaine to get through it. But it's 60 hours of content we've put out there. So tip my cap to you and I. It's been, anyone who starts a podcast or even a blog, my biggest thing, they're like, I want to do this. And I'm like, great. The biggest challenge, and it's the challenge that you and I have, is coming up, because I can get on every week with you and just bullshit for a half hour, but we want to have content that people want to listen to and can benefit their businesses. So that's the biggest thing. And it's our biggest challenge, and it's anyone else's biggest challenge going forward is just coming up with an idea every single week or month or whatever you're doing. So, and I also tease this, Joe, next week, you and I are going to talk about, you have an assignment. Okay. It's only 1 hour. You have Netflix, right?
Yeah.
You still have Netflix?
Sure.
Okay. So I want you to look up The Call to Courage.
Hold on. All right. The Call to Courage. Okay.
It's a
documentary or something?
Yeah, well, it's not even a documentary. Okay. It's sort of like a TED Talk.
Okay.
The woman's name is Brene Brown.
Okay.
And she actually became famous for her TED Talk, apparently. She did a TED Talk years ago. and it's got the most viewers. It's got 35 million views on YouTube, which according to this is the most. So anyway, she's written 5 books. She did it's odd for Netflix, because Netflix, you're so used to seeing like stand-up comedy.
Sure.
And she's funny, but she's not a stand-up comic, and it's certainly a heartfelt thing. But I want to talk to you about it, and I want to talk to you about 2 different things. A, her content, but then B, as fellow public speakers, her delivery.
Okay.
And what you thought of both. And anyone else who's listening, if you want to play along with Joe and I encourage you. And I thought it was great content. Kelly had heard a recommendation of this, so she and I watched it the other night. And I have to say, I was moved to tears at one point.
Damn.
I was fascinated by it by other points. I didn't agree with everything she said, but I don't think you need to. So I want you to take a listen to that, or watch it. The Call to Courage on Netflix. And
how long?
And that's next week's. It's an hour. It's a little over an hour.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Will do, my friend.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening. As always, please keep listening and leave us comments if you want us to talk about something in a future episode.
Thanks, Joe. Great hanging with you this week. Have a good one.
Later, brother.
Ciao.